और अपने बेटे की गर्दन पे छुरी चला दी।
मैंने प्लान बना लिया है। फर्स्ट चीज का प्लान, मैं बर्फी की जान बचाऊंगी।
Hey everyone, so excited to talk to you for Distash on your film. Tell me about why this film got created.
So it's based on a real experience I had of celebrating Eid in Pakistan. I'm an immigrant. I immigrated when I was 8 years old, and celebrating that holiday just always stayed with me, the whole experience of it from beginning to end, as you'll see in the film. And so I kind of just wanted to share something that was really poignant and profound in my life with other people, and also when I initially wrote it in grad school at USC, in our little writers room kind of class, it really struck a chord with everyone in that class as well. So I kind of figured there was something there worth exploring.
And Roy, tell me about you. How did you get involved with the film?
So Eid Mubarak is having an Oscar campaign. So I got involved in September when we're trying to push this film out to Academy members and, really just trying to get the community of South Asians involved as well. Like, I think that this film is really important. It shows a really festive, positive holiday and a positive light for Muslims around, and just shows unity. So I think that, especially in these times, that it's really important to push these kinds of films out there, and as well as the messaging.
I saw the comments on YouTube where a lot of people feel like this hits home for them, just the way that you described making it for that very reason. What is the reactions that you guys have been receiving so far?
I think it's been really great. I think it's been amazing to see how the story really does unite people of all different backgrounds, because everyone can relate with. There's a moment, I think, where you realize you're eating meat and that meat is coming from an animal, and either you make a decision to continue eating it or not eating it. But I think every human being has to confront that that's happening. Or even if your family grew up vegetarian, you realize other people are eating it, and it's a whole thing that's happening in the world. So I think it's really a story that I saw united people of all different backgrounds. Like, I get religious people come up to me at festivals, like ministers and rabbis, because obviously Islam is an Abrahamic religion, and the story we get is from the Jewish tradition that's also in Christianity. So I get all sorts of religious people, and then I get kids of all ages, especially girls with sisters. They really relate with the story. And of course, with the Muslim audience and the South Asian audience, like, everyone gets all the jokes and laughs at all the moments that might be maybe confusing to a Western audience and kind of foreign. But that's always really fun to see the South Asian audience and the Muslim audience really responding to things that they've experienced. It's like the relatability factor is really there. So it's been a great response. I couldn't have hoped for anything better when I set out to make the film. And obviously now we're doing the Oscar campaign. So for me, it's like it couldn't have gone any better,
You ever think a project at USC was going to bring you to the Oscars? That is phenomenal. And the story is super cute and touching. And, Rui, you're a mom, I'm a mom. How do you think this film will relate to children?
So, I did show this to my kids, and one of my kids is a vegetarian. So she's like, "Mommy, you didn't tell me this was a horror film." So for her, it's very horrific. But, for my other son, for my other kid who's a meat eater, he was just, he thought it was really great, and he really liked the kid actors. He's also a performing artist, so I feel like he gets the nuances of all of the filmmaking as well. So he really enjoyed the style of it and the art direction. And, the film has played in over 40 festivals, has won numerous awards. I think 13 awards, and a lot of them being best film. So I think the film is really well made, and, we're really proud of the film. So I think that kids and adults can enjoy it.
Tell me about you. I mean, to go from, like I said, USC to telling your friends about it and your family, how's the reaction been for you, Mahnoor?
Well, so I think for me, like, I'm obviously entering the industry now. I wrote this as I initially wrote it as just an exercise in my writing class during my master's at USC, but I kind of left it, and then I didn't make it until, after I had graduated, and I made it independently and everything. And it was very difficult and challenging. I went back to Pakistan to shoot it, and I had a completely Pakistani team on the ground there, and I was directing in a different language, and it was a big challenge for me, but it was incredibly fulfilling. And Pakistanis worked their butts off. I couldn't have asked for a better, more dedicated crew. There was a massive heat wave going on, and they still brought 110% everyone there. Well, I ended up in the hospital with heat stroke, and food poisoning, but that's a story for a different day. But I think it's been, I'm just entering the industry now, but I think I immigrated to this country, post 9/11 when I was really young as a kid in elementary school. And for me, even entering the industry now, even though we're going through pretty challenging times constantly, it feels like, I still feel like this is the best time I could have asked to enter the industry, because there is a space for stories. People are interested in hearing about different perspectives and are uplifting diverse voices. And I think Ruhi and I were talking about how in New York you get days off of school for Eid, and that's so awesome that we're getting I spent all of my school years never getting a day off and having to miss school and catching up and explaining to everyone what Eid was. So I think the progress that I'm seeing even in my lifetime, my short lifetime, so far, it kind of shows the acceptance and the embrace that we hope for as immigrants in this country, so that's been great. And also, obviously, it's based on my family life, and my dad, who is a very tough cookie. I've never seen him cry in my life, I feel maybe a couple of times. He literally, when I finished making the film, I hope he won't mind me sharing this, but literally this is a man who in 50 years of his life, first 50 years, I never saw him cry. And then now he's in his 60s. He's cried a few times since, but when he watches this film, every time he cries. And so I'm just for me, that means everything. I made it, first and foremost for my family, who we all went through all this stuff together. So that means a lot to me.
We celebrate Diwali here. Now, this year was actually probably one of the biggest years that Diwali was splashed. There was so many more parties, and people were saying Happy Diwali to each other. And I think because of this film, because of you and your brilliant idea and something from your childhood and something that made your dad really proud, this will be that film that teaches everyone about Eid now. And we'll be having Eid parties, and this film will teach that in schools at young ages, where it really will stop the hate. I mean, do you feel that? Do you feel that energy of how big of a film this is, and what it can actually do for young souls in today's time?
Yeah, I think that's kind of why I made it, I think just for me as a filmmaker, I think we love interesting, different, refreshing art about, interesting, different, refreshing things. And I think, for example, the Miyazaki films, the Studio Ghibli films are such a good example of that. And there's such a phenomena even in the West, because people love seeing something dynamic and refreshing like that. And I think, I feel there's so many stories, and there's a completely different perspective from our part of the world, from South Asia, from Muslim countries. We have a completely different way of looking at life. We have a completely different aesthetic even, that can be manifested in filmmaking in very different ways. Some of the visual stuff that I was doing was, in film school, we learned a lot about creating depth and flatness for different purposes. And a lot of filmmakers really like creating depth for complexity in their films. But I was really inspired by South Asian art at things like mobile miniatures, which flatten and foreshorten space in really interesting ways. And for me, I wanted to show 3 different stories of a building in this flattened kind of space, referencing our way of looking at the world, so that's a small example, but I just think that there's so much out there to explore. And I'm so jealous of the kids today who get to see films like ours and Miss Marvel and so many other movies and everything, and they get to see themselves represented on the screen. And I just hope it keeps going, and I hope it never stops until it's very, very normal to see a story and a portrait of someone very different from you. and it makes money.
I mean, so like what media has been really a great partner for the film as well. So, and they have, distribution for educational streaming rights and coming this early in 2024. So, it's definitely a film that we want to get out there through, our distributor, What Media, and in all the educational platforms as well.
And it actually has been doing some educational rounds in all different countries, like in the Netherlands as part of CineKid, which is like the largest film festival, children's film festival, I think, in the world. They, are doing like this whole traveling thing with it, and same with the Children's Film Festival of Seattle. So a lot of different schools and libraries and programs have been kind of interacting with the film, which is really cool for me that people in schools get to watch it.
Like, talk about women power in today's world. I mean, two really strong, fierce women showing up in today's world. How does that feel?
Yeah, so I think it was incredibly important to me. I feel like all the stories I tell are from the female perspective and from the female gaze. And another visual reference, for example, in this film were the biblical paintings of the High Renaissance, so paintings like The Last Supper. And I was thinking, how can I flip some of this imagery? How can I make some subversive imagery? And for me, it's like, what do? You replace all those like disciples and prophets in those paintings with little brown girls, and you give them that much power and value that, Rubab, who plays Iman, is sitting at the center of the table where, the prophet Jesus sits in a very venerated place. And all the main, there's so many women in that table. And that was very important to me, to show all these really powerful Muslim women, very liberated, empowered Muslim women who didn't need to like take off a hijab to be liberated from like an oppressive man who is so angry and whatever, like I wanted to show like authentic Muslim women. And there's like her mom, her grandma, her sister, and her, Iman, and they're all different kinds of women who are, I think, in my experience, very authentic versions of like Pakistani women, because they're all based on real people. I real women in my own life. So, and even that, I think, is like, I think we don't even see images like that. We rarely get to see a story or hear of a story from a little Muslim brown girl's voice that is joyous and it's happy and it's about something festive, and it's not and it's from within the community. It's an insider perspective, and it's not something to do with like poverty porn or whatever. I think it's very unique to get to see this sort of perspective, and that's really, really important to me. I think film is like the biggest empathy machine, that you can use. It's like the most powerful tool for empathy. So I want to show people like little girls have a lot to say. Little brown girls have a very unique perspective on the world, and that's kind of what I'm interested in. So.
Yeah, same. I think that like strong, ditto, strong Muslim women. So that's, I think I'm putting together a film alliance that, they'll be launching next year, and I can announce in the next few weeks. But, it's putting together some partners to really just showcase women protagonists, Muslim women, and, social justice causes. And hopefully our next one will be Mahnoor's. You can tell them what's next for you. I think that would be
Yeah, so I have a couple of things going on. I'm working on a third draft of my feature Brown Girl, and that is based on my middle school experience. It's about a young girl who wants to be popular really badly in her affluent, predominantly white neighborhood in the year 2007. So she makes a wish on her 13th birthday to be like the popular girls. And she wakes up the next day, she's Pakistani American. She wakes up the next day white. And so she has to figure out if her newfound privilege that she gets with her identity is worth losing her real identity and culture over. And then I'm writing another short. I hope to make this short here in LA at a way higher budget. Just because I made the last one, Eid Mubarak in Pakistan, and I have such a big network here and community here in LA where I've grown up my whole life. And I want to put that to use, put that to work. And that one is about my name. So my name is Mahnoor. And growing up, I always got manure or man-whore.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Yep. And you know, when you're trying to be cool or whatever on the first day of school and your teacher's like, man-whore.
And you're beautiful, so that's the double whammy there.
And like my name means moonlight. I'm like, I want you to be thinking of moonlight when you think of me, not cow poop or man-whores. So it's kind of the story's about a fifth grader who's new to a school, and she everyone's making fun of her name. Her name is Mahnoor Butt. And you know, Pakistan's full of butts, so it's common there. But she wants people to say her name right. Everyone keeps making fun of her name at this new school, and so she decides to run for president to get people to get to know her.
The president butt.
There you go.
Your ideas are so, I mean, they're so necessary. I guess that's the best way to put it. You know, I can't wait to see you do more. I can't wait to see this film really put you where you deserve to be. I like to end if anything else to add, but the last question I do have before we end it is, tell me some fun stuff that happened on set that you guys want to share with us, please.
Oh my goodness, so many things. Well, we all got sick. I just brought me and my DP. We were like the foreign people, and it was like a climate change heat wave when we were filming, and all of our movie was basically exterior day shots. So it was like insane heat we were shooting in, but we made it through. A couple of visits to the hospital and we were okay. Only delayed the shoot by 1 day. But I guess something fun that's not so stressful is the whole story is about a girl and her goat. And as part of the audition process, I asked all my little actresses who were auditioning, I was like, how do you like goats? And I knew it with Rubab, who plays Iman, it was like love at first sight. Same with Momina. I just knew immediately that I wanted to work with them. But with Rubab, I was like, Rubab, how do you feel about goats? You know, how's your experience with Eid? And she was like, it was good. And she told me everything about her goats over the years. And I'm like, okay, great. She's good with goats. And then the first day, you know, happens. The heat wave's already started. It's always stressful on the first day. There's so much pressure. And right before we're about to roll on our first shot, Rubab's like, Mahnoor Baji, like, I need to tell you a secret. And I'm like, okay, Rubab, what? And she's like, I'm really scared of goats. And I was like, Rubab, my girl, why wouldn't you tell me this earlier? But I didn't say that to her.
Film. So then, what happened from there?
So then a lot of my job became like doing goat therapy. So we like enabled all these different, like we had a safe word for Rubab. We had 2 animal handlers who were like on each end of like the frame, you know, so they could come and grab the goat whenever. And we slowly like had a lot of moments where she was just like petting the goat and like touching the goat. And the goats are so sweet. And our goat, Barfi, was like the sweetest thing on earth, like nicest goat I could have ever asked for. And I'm happy to say that by the end, she was actually so attached to the goat, and the goat was like so attached to her, and she was like, I'm not scared of goats anymore. So I was like, great, it worked out.
That's actually hilarious and super cute that you not only made the little young actress sacrifice something, but you also made her now love these animals. So that's really special. I'm sure it's part of her childhood memory now for life.
Yeah, I hope so. She had just turned 7 and she's been acting all her life, but I hope she remembers this. I hope she remembers me forever, you know?
Oh, that's it's phenomenal that she is that. I mean, she's so mature. Yeah, describe the cast. Actually, I just wanted to ask about that. I'm sorry about that.
I mean, Rubab is like amazing. I think everyone is like obsessed with Rubab when they watch the film. There's like something about her face and her eyes, you know? But she is like a professional actress, you know? She's been acting since she was 6 months old. She's in so many Pakistani dramas back home. And so she was like incredibly professional. And I found her through a casting director. And then Momina, whose real name is Momina, so it was like meant to be. And she reminds me so much of my sister at that age. So I just knew with her, Momina has this incredible ability to improv really well, but I just reached out via casting, like open casting call, and like sent it to everybody I knew, and she responded, her mom responded, and her mom also became a big part of our set, you know, so that was amazing. And then We have Iman who plays the dad, and he's also a Pakistani drama actor. He was really, really good. He also sort of looks like my dad at that age, a little bit. There's a hint. They could be cousins. And Zoha, who plays the mom, she was the first, I think, hijabi Muslim character in a Marvel film. She was in Spider-Man with Tom Holland and Zendaya, that one. And that was like a crazy serendipitous meeting that we had. We just like I had like one lunch before we started shooting, or one dinner opportunity before we started shooting with a family friend's niece, and she is in the film industry in Pakistan, and she was like, why don't you come, and there's also going to be these other couple of people there, and one of them is an actress. I was like, okay, great. And so I go. Zoha and I meet. Zoha's British also, so we immediately sort of hit it off because we had similar Western perspectives with the Eastern perspective combined. And those like friends you meet and you just get along immediately. She was one of those. And then we filmed together. It works out perfectly. She was going to leave for London the next day. She killed it. And then fast forward when the film is done, and I kid you not, we find out through Facebook, because my mom posts about the movie on Facebook. She is the daughter of my dad's, like one of his closest childhood friends' sisters, who he grew up with like as kids.
That's big. I love doing this.
Okay, so the Facebook post was posted from my mom, and my dad's friend Amir responded. This was my dad's like best friend. Like, I've heard so many stories about Amir Chuktai, over the years. I probably shouldn't say this last one, but like over the years of how hilarious he was, and them getting like kicked out of school. This is like that kind of childhood friend. So he comments on the post, and he's like, that actress is my niece. Oh, and we're like, what? And it's his sister's daughter, and his sister is literally someone that my dad like knew from like the age of being a kid onwards, and like my parents were at each other's weddings, like it was that sort of thing. They like have seen Zoha's parents meet and fall in love and get married and stuff, and so we were like screaming, losing it. We're like, how did we not know this? Funny. But it was amazing. Yeah.
How you put a lot of things together, from childhood to family friends.
I know. I really
South Asians are like just like separated by like 1 or 2 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. The 7 degrees of separation, it's actually only 1 or 2 when you're in this world of South Asians.
Yeah. It was crazy though. Like, it was so serendipitous. Some of the things that happened on this film were so extremely serendipitous. Like, I really felt like I was being moved by, like, if I didn't believe in God before, which I did, like, I definitely, after this film, I was like, whoa, there's like a bigger plan out there. Like, it's not in my control, some of the things that are happening,
Yeah, 100%.
Like to add about the film?
Oh, I just want everybody who's out there that may be an Academy member to vote for us. That's the most important thing right now. And hopefully, we get shortlisted in December. That's the big hope. And that's what we're aiming for right now for the film.
And anyone in the Academy can opt in this year. You don't have to be a part of a certain branch. So if you know anyone in the entire Academy, send it to them. It's on YouTube.
That's
like...
No, I think if you put your hashtag Academy, or just start sending it to as many people as you possibly can, it does make a difference, because it's such a strong film. It's such a great message, and clearly you both have, and the entire cast has worked so hard on it, and it's going to touch so many hearts at a really necessary time. So thank you so much, both of you, for speaking to me and enlightening me really with this interview, as well as this beautiful film. And I can't wait to find someone from the Academy and tell them to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks for having us.
All the best, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.